Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop for part 23 of working on a Viking sword. We're trying to make this thing pretty fantastic. It's a pleasure to bring you along because in the last episode we etched the blade and it's looking rather splendiferously awesome. It's also fantastic to have you here because NordVPN is sponsoring today's episode. NordVPN offers a virtual private network service that's designed to keep you safe while you're browsing the internet, and you can start protecting your internet experience today by getting 66% off a 2-year plan at nordvpn.com/forge. Thank you, Nord, for sponsoring the episode. Thank you guys for being here. Let's jump right in to the first thing that we need to think about, which is design. Now, one of the most interesting things that I've learned as I've dipped my toes into a craft that is just so unbelievably difficult and stretches so far beyond what it is that I've done, the craft of engraving. I've not only learned the basics of how to make chips with a graver and the basics of how to sink gold into steel, but while reading and trying to study as much as I could to hopefully make as good a piece as possible, I also learned a little bit about design, and a very interesting term that engravers use is the term of balance, and the balance between light and dark in the pieces that they make. Because of course when an engraver is making scroll work and they're cutting away background, they want to make sure that there's an appropriate amount of light to dark. We, of course, have done a lot of background removal, and on a couple of occasions we've talked about how there isn't balance in proportion in the piece. We've talked about how there wasn't balance in the light and dark in the piece, and I've got a problem right now. Now, this is something I've been concerned about ever since I made the pommel and then started cutting away this stuff, and that problem is here, especially if we paint in the background. I think we're going to. We have light steel color, we have gold color, we have dark black background, like that painted piece. Here we've got light steel, gold, dark painted background, and then here we have light steel and gold. I'm concerned that there is not enough balance in the light and dark on this piece, and we all of a sudden have this piece that's reflecting a lot of light when these pieces are much darker, especially considering over here on our blade, this is much darker in terms of the way it's shining back the light at you, because here half of the material is full black and half of it is shiny. I'm concerned that we just don't have a huge amount of sync up between these elements in our design. But the trouble is the pommel does look good. It has things that I need to fix no matter what, but it does look good, and so anything I do to it is really going to be jeopardizing that good look. Trouble is, a good looking pommel is not necessarily a good looking pommel if it doesn't help hit off the rest of the piece and make it all look beautiful and make it all come together nicely. One key problem is the backside of the pommel. I don't think it's good that we have it plain on the back. I think similarly to this side, it either needs a touch mark or something else on the back side, because here, talk about disjointed design, look at this, guys. I think I can improve on it. I think that if I think in the right direction, make the right moves, we can help round this all together and make the pieces become much more cohesive in how the aesthetics of them work together. And I have a multitude of options. And so what I've done to hopefully aid our confusion and help make a decision is I've got some pommels sketched up here, and of course this is how they currently look. We currently got a touch mark in the middle there, and all of this stuff is shining light right back at us. The options are as follows. Number one, and I think this could be a very simple and effective solution, is just like in Lane Zulke's tapered gold inlay tutorial, we run a V-graver around the outside of our gold inlay in the pommel, and we do gold inlay again on the other side for another touch mark. You can see one of the things about this touch mark in there is unlike the other areas where there's a lot of contrast on the edges of the gold, here there's none of it. The contrast, having a cut, apparently helps make the gold stand out. That might be all we need to do, but if it isn't all we need to do, I have another option, which is we cut a rectangle around our touch mark, we cut an inline around our touch mark, we remove this background and we stipple it. That gets us contrast, that gets us the gold inlay popping out of the material. But what it does is it means that on our beautiful flowing pommel, we end up with this rectangle there. And I don't think that would work well. The same thing goes down here. This is obviously not a touch mark, but this is another option that I've had, which is for the assay stamps that by law need to be there on a piece that has this much gold in it and is going to be sold. I could have put a pad of gold for those assay stamps. I'm going to talk more about assaying later on. But again, it's rectangular, and this thing isn't rectangular. Obviously, the lower guard and the upper guard is rectangular, but I just think there's too much rectangle for something that's not rectangular. So, I don't like this. But what about option number 3? I cut an inline with a graver that matches this pad here on the pommel. We cut an outline of our touch mark and we remove this background. It's an idea. I don't know if I'm that sold on it though. We've got this really beautiful pommel, and then we put this big old thing here in the middle. I don't know. The other option number 4, is we take ourselves our graver and we cut a line that follows every single pad on both sides. And on all those pads, we remove the background, but then I think it's gonna end up making this thing look like a tortoise shell. And I don't think a tortoise shell is what we want. I think it's too much. Makes it look like our pommel is wearing body armor. And the 5th option, I don't have a 5th option, but we're about solutions, not problems. I may not have a 5th option, but I wanna get cracking and see what our first option would look like. So here's the plan. I'm gonna take a V graver, and faster than you can say lickety split, I'm gonna cut myself an S, I'm gonna undercut it, I'm gonna inlay it with gold, and we're gonna test and see how outlining the gold looks, see if that helps bring a little extra darkness to the piece, enough so like seasoning a fine steak, it helps make this thing look how we want it to look. So let's get to it. Okay, so inlaying the gold this time on that practice piece took so much less time. I think I did the entire thing and cut the outline in like 40 minutes, which is just, that's like 3 times faster than the last time I did gold inlay on the touch mark. So I'm pleased about that. The border on gold inlay looks good, and I think I have decided that no matter what, the pommel is gonna need 2 things. 1, it's gonna need a touch mark on the other side, and 2, even no matter what it is that I decide to do, whether I decide to remove background on everything, whether I decide to not remove any background at all, putting the outline on the touch mark really helps make it pop, and it needs to be done no matter what. So it means I've got to cut a touch mark and inlay a touch mark in the pommel. But I've got bad news. I mean, is that bad news already? I don't know. But we've got worse news. I don't think the finish on those lobes of the pommel are up to the standard that I can now get them to. I think I got a little hasty with my finishing on the pommel, and I think I can do a much better job now. And I feel pretty silly that I didn't put a huge amount more effort into the finish of that, because as you can see with the images that we're showing right now, there's some unevenness to it. There are some scratches that shouldn't be there, and that's unacceptable. I've spent a month engraving the other parts of this. It would be ridiculous for me to leave it as is, which means that I've got to do something really painful. Like this is not something I want to do at all. This is not good. This is just so far and away from what it is that I want to be doing. Got to pull off the gold and refinish the pommel, which means I've got to come in here, flick all the gold out, pull it all off, and there we go. Another lesson in the bag. There are no shortcuts to find work. There is no working around it. I need to remember this as I work on things in the future. That with a project that I want to put as much effort into as this, there is no other way that I can go about it other than doing things right the first time. I've got a lot of learning to do on that. I've also got some gold to strip off and a lot of refinishing to do. So let's just jump right in and do that. Progress update here on the pommel after a few more hours work of polishing. I've been using these diamond embedded little rubbery polishing wheels here, as well as these little abrasive infused rubber wheels. And the whole plan has been to rough everything out with those wheels, and then I go to the buffer, because then by buffing it, I'm able to see where the deeper scratches are. Because this shape is so complex and difficult to finish, it meant that last time I was able to trick myself into thinking I had a better finish than I really had by putting scratches in it in a certain direction that kind of covered up the other scratches. Well, here my plan is I make sure that this is a beautiful buffed up kind of near mirror finish, and then I can mattify it. I can scratch it to a very consistent finish, knowing that there are no scratches in that final finish that shouldn't be there. This is not the easiest thing for me to show you on camera because all of those fine little details, they're very subtle. It's about how you hold it in the light and how you look at it very carefully. But I assure you, the time invested in making this right is going to be worth it. So speaking of that, I've just done another cycle of buffing it. So I'm going to give it a good look, and then we're going to try and even it all up a little more with some of the higher finishing wheels and hopefully get close to having this thing buffed to a beautiful finish that's ready for us to get back to engraving. The pommel is looking so much better than it was. It is polished up and it is ready for mattification, for making it a matte finish, but I'm gonna do that after that other little bit of engraving is done, after the other bit of inlay is done, just before we put the last little bit of gold in. But doing this has reminded me of a video I watched by AVE last night. In that video, he was servicing his mountain bike and he was talking about how long it takes to master something and the learning curve. And I thought that was really interesting because I think something similar applies to what it is that I'm doing with this. The curve looks like this. I'm gonna put quality over here and we're gonna say productive input goes down here. Why productive input and not work or effort? I thought about that and I kind of decided, well, if you're trying to go north and you've been paddling south for the last 10 hours, you're not actually getting any closer to the destination. So we're gonna say productive input. And I think it's a similar curve to what AVE was describing on the learning curve. It goes a little like this. At the beginning, with very little productive input, the end product of what you made is low quality. That's pretty low on the quality scale, but there's this sweet spot here where all of a sudden we've got ourselves an exponential curve where really with a small amount of extra productive input we're greatly increasing the quality of the piece. And this is really quite efficient, but I think I had this pommel to about this standard here. I think, maybe even this standard here. It was not at the top of that exponential curve and it could have been a lot better. But the thing is, with the extra work I put in, I started getting into this logarithmic area of the curve. And so now I think I've brought the piece to about here, where it's good, but it's certainly not like 100%. Because no matter what, I can always improve on what it is that I do, but the trick is that this distance here in the time was 7 hours. It took me 7 more hours to get that piece to that point. If I want to get this piece to 95%, I get far less returns on the added time in. And that's just part of the reality of making stuff, is it can always be better. What I just want to try and do is keep raising the bar of where it is that I stop when I say it's good enough. Keep increasing the standard of the work that I consider acceptable. Stay more focused, stay more dedicated to the end product, because by goodness, it might be just you that's watching this, that's going to be buying this sword, and I want to make sure that it is a really good piece of work. And so that's why the extra effort of polishing up this pommel is worth it to me, and it is made possible by the support of our wonderful sponsors like NordVPN, who is sponsoring today's episode. Okay, so what is NordVPN? NordVPN is a virtual private network service. So what they do is they act as an intermediary between you and the websites you browse, which means that not only can you pick where the websites that you browse think you're browsing from, they have servers in over 61 countries, they got thousands all over the world, but they encrypt the data that goes from them to you. So instead of data going directly from the website to you, it goes from the website to one of NordVPN's thousands of servers to you encrypted. This keeps you safe while you're browsing. It's very easy to get hacked while you're on a public network, and then military-grade encryption is there to help keep you safe. It works on Mac, PC, iOS, or Android, and it's just as simple as logging into the app, choosing where in the world it is that you want to be connected to. Right now I'm connected to the United Kingdom. Say I want to be connected to Denmark, boom, boom, and I'm connected. It's as easy as that, and it is risk-free because they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So please start protecting your internet experience today by going to nordvpn.com/forge and using code FORGE at checkout. You're going to be getting 66% off a 2-year plan. Not only are you going to be protecting your internet experience, you're going to be supporting this show here, helping us hopefully make great things and get as far ahead in that quality curve as we can. Thank you, Nord, for sponsoring this episode. Thank you guys for being here. I cannot wait to share with you some more progress soon. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you. Bye-bye.